want to talk for just a minute about the kind of emotional portion of real estate, both from a client perspective and from an agent perspective. Maybe from an agent perspective, Sam, you can share some of what we've been working so hard on this year and how much of a difference do you think it's made?
Yeah, I mean, you said it, Brian. Right now we're in such a chaotic period. Most people out there at least know someone that's been moderately sick with this thing, at the very least, and at the very worst, they know someone who's passed away from it. But then on top of that, you also get the mental strain with being, locked in your house, or like you said, Brian, being concerned about other people going out and about and potentially infecting others, and it's just a really chaotic time. So how do we bring order back to this thing? And it's also chaotic, not just for buyers and sellers, but for our agents. People deal with trauma, over the course of a lifetime, hopefully just a handful of times, hopefully only a handful of tragedies, but there's been a lot thrown on our agents this year, with, personally and with the market changing, and how do we deal with reaching out to people and contacting people, and how do we keep our business alive? And that's what's so cool about being a part of a team, is we have your back for that. So we're going through different training for that, how to keep a cool head, even head in this like crazy time period, and how to market yourselves a little bit differently. And this might tie in with what you're talking about, Brian, as far as innovation and what we've been doing. But we've noticed an uptick of people not just we've noticed it, but nationwide and worldwide, there's been an uptick of people on social media. People are trying to get more social from their couch. And we've been able to double down on that and double down our marketing efforts on social media. And not just, I'm not just talking about posting to Brian's personal Facebook page, hey, I have a home for sale. I'm talking about targeted, pointed marketing, where we, if we have a house for sale that's 3 beds, 2 baths, in Goose Creek, who is going to buy that house? We're creating a profile of the person who might be interested in that house, so we can literally market to that family that's perhaps thinking about upsizing or getting a little bit bigger house. And we can do that all now. And that's something that we were good at a year ago. But again, like I said, we've advanced 3 to 5 years as far as innovation over the course of 10 months. We're doing that at even higher level now and spending even more to make sure that our clients' homes are being seen by as many people as possible.
Yeah, the right people too. And to that point, it's the ability for us to ask the question, who is the buyer for this house? And it's usually more than one answer, right?
Right.
But we now have the ability. We've really had the ability for a little over 2 years now on my team, based on this partnership with this company that we have in California, which really helps us kind of sift through the data and construct the overall advertising campaigns. But just to kind of finish that thought, we have the ability to say, all right, these are the types of buyers that would be interested in this house. All of these different types of buyers have specific demographic profiles. So that's step one, is filtering all the people in the world to find those types of people. And then we need to attach a real estate interest to them. So we have the ability to sift through all the data that's tracked on all of us, right? Because whether you like it or not, you are a walking, living, breathing blueprint based on everything that you do online, which is tracked, collected, and then sold to other companies so that they can market things to you that fit your online behavior. It's just that it really hasn't spilled over into real estate yet in a big way. It's coming at some point. I think it will become a little more mainstream at some point in the next probably 2 to 3 years. But, like Sam said, we're 3 to 5 years ahead of this thing. And so we've had the ability to very specifically target people that would be interested in the homes that we're selling, not just based on their demographics, not just based on the fact that they might be interested in real estate in your area, in your price range, but that are also displaying online behavior that lead us to believe they're getting ready to buy a house. One such behavior could be something like, who has researched schools in your home's zip code in which that search originated from a different zip code? When was the last time you thought about other schools in another area if you weren't planning on moving there? So that's just one very small drop in the bucket compared to the information and the analytics that we have access to that allow us to construct targeted ads, dynamic ads that change over the course of time, that are catered to each individual type of buyer we're trying to market to. Mm-hmm. So like, in other words, if we're trying to market let's say that we're marketing to somebody as a vacation home. Maybe it's a second home for them. Well, that marketing is going to look a little different than maybe the buyer that is upsizing. They're selling the first or second home that they've owned, and now they're looking to buy their dream home. Different marketing, and that marketing has to change over time. The problem that so many agents have when it comes to marketing, well, first of all, is just lack of budget. I mean, I'm just here to tell you that what we have done to create this opportunity for our clients and ourselves is very costly and very time consuming. The barrier to entry is high. The learning curve is steep. But we got it now, man. We figured it out. And it's been really cool to watch us go into somebody's home, tell them what we have the power and capacity to do, and then do it.
Right.
It's just awesome. I like being a man of my word, not just somebody that says these are the things that can be done, that give a really nice, glitzy and glamorous marketing presentation, when in reality, they know all they're going to do is go back and have some professional photos taken, throw it on the MLS, and just hope that it sells in 2 weeks. And if it doesn't, then they have to have that tough conversation with the seller, which is, well, what are you actually doing to market my home? Well, how about we just reduce the price? That's the go-to. But there was something else that you mentioned, Sam, and that is that most people really only experience, I think the number's somewhere between 7 and 10, like real trauma experiences in their life. But if you look at, think about like a surgeon or a trauma nurse or a cop or a firefighter. I mean, they are used to trauma. They live it and breathe it on a daily basis. And I would say that real estate agents aren't far behind, because when you think about it, and this goes back to my comment earlier about there being no such thing as a stress-free transaction, I think the really good agents out there are the ones that, first and foremost, are great at communication. And that is such a hard thing for agents to deliver. And I don't know why, because it's free. It doesn't cost you anything to pick up the phone and tell your client what's going on, good, bad, or indifferent. Just let them know what's happening so they don't have to chase you down. That's the biggest complaint I get with all these other, sellers, that over 60%, by the way, of the listings that we sell were previously listed by another real estate agent before they hired us to sell it. So I'm speaking from experience on this. The sellers just, they got to track those agents down and figure out what's going on. And they kind of get the sense that, oh yeah, well, I guess we should do something about your listing. It's kind of just sitting there for some of these agents. It's a marketing piece for them. Mm-hmm. They probably know they're not going to sell it at that price or by doing what they're doing, but hey, it's a sign in the ground, and a sign in the ground is better than a sign in the car. At least they can get some calls from other buyers, or maybe leverage that opportunity to find something else that actually will sell and produce an income. And that's part of the challenge that you as a seller really need to be aware of. And I'm going to give you some information toward the tail end of the show to arm you with some questions that you can ask to prepare for that, so you don't hire an agent that is all smoke and mirrors. You need to be hiring people that are in the business of getting things done. But back to this comment on trauma and how real estate agents are, frankly, we're exposed to a good amount of that, because from our clients, we as real estate agents tend to absorb a lot of what's going on in their life, because it's all wrapped into the process of moving. Maybe you have a client and a husband and wife, and maybe the wife is sick or has some sort of immunodeficiency, and the people that walk through the house, I mean, there's such a stress over that happening the right way and safely. Or maybe they're dealing with some sort of work issue, or there's just some sort of stress in their life that just gets wrapped up into the conversation that they have with the real estate agents. And I'll be honest with you, sometimes I'm the punching bag, and I understand it. I get it. I've got thick skin. I mean, I've got a good set of armor after doing this for 15 years. And I understand that sometimes people just need to talk, and sometimes people just need somebody to, frankly, kind of unload on. And if that has to be me, then so be it. I don't take things personally. And I think at times people have said, I'm maybe not as emotionally involved as they want me to be. It's not that I'm not emotionally involved. It's that you need me to remain level-headed so that I can consult you through this process, so that we don't make a knee-jerk reaction to something that you don't like or that you don't agree with that might inevitably harm the transaction or you and your best interest in some way, shape, or form. So sometimes that requires having tough conversations. And I always tell people I am a blunt person. I don't shy away from difficult conversations. I think if something needs to change with your listing once we get on the market based on what other people are saying, or if we have a lack of data to go off of, that in and of itself is a conversation piece. We need to be able to read between the lines on what's happening behind the scenes when we market a property for sale. So I don't beat around the bush, and I think that's just been something that, frankly, has been really refreshing for people this year that are just, they're going through it. We also have a lot of agents right now that, they're dealing with all this stuff at home. They're not going to an actual physical location to work. Maybe they've got kids at home. I mean, it just creates this whole new dynamic and stress from the agent perspective that they've not had to deal with in prior years. And I think that's the benefit of having a team, is that we've got 20 people that are invested in making sure that your transaction is a smooth and successful one. But if you've got just one agent and, they've got responsibilities at home and they've got other things that need to do to distract them from representing you in your best interest in a timely manner, then yeah, I can see that being problematic for some folks. I know it is. And so we've been doing a lot of training just on the emotional intelligence and mindset of a successful, not just agent, but person, and having empathy and being a good listener, which really just all boils down to communication. And so that's why we have a communication guarantee. It just simply states, and it's in writing, whether you're a buyer or a seller or an investor, it just says, hey, we will be in touch with you at least once per week from the time we start working together until the time we close. And if we don't, you can fire us.
It's the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Broadcast Saturday mornings at 9 and Sunday mornings at 10 on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA.